This is Because Liberty with Curtis Hart and
we also have a Washington state constitution, and so we've decided to read the amendments in that to you guys one a week. So Curtis is going to do that right now.
It's not actually an amendment. They're called Section 1 of Article 1 in the Washington State. And I'll read the preamble and the first one.
He's actually going to read this through the bullhorn. Oh,
no,
never mind.
I don't have the fucking microphone for the bullhorn. I don't know where it is.
Uncensored.
So
remember, your mom said not to drop the F-bombs.
I don't care. We the people of the state of Washington, grateful to the supreme ruler of the universe for our liberties, do ordain this Constitution. Article 1, Declaration of Rights. Section 1, Political Power. All political power is inherent in the people. The governments derive their just power from the consent of the governed and are established to protect and maintain individual rights. And I don't know if you understand what exactly that means, but it's specifically saying in the Washington State Constitution that government is there to protect our individual rights, and they get their powers from the consent of the governed. So I don't know exactly like how that'll work out for you if you try to just not consent to being governed. Usually that will land your ass in jail, and if you do that in Cowles County, there is a better than decent chance that you might end up dead.
Uh-oh, here we go. The
so
jail
that's,
stuff.
I mean, basically what our show is about tonight.
But first we must introduce our guest.
Yes. Our guest is
Daniel Lee. Thanks for having me on, guys.
I will say that Daniel Lee is so far good in my book. He brought us some beer from, where'd you bring it from?
Ashtown Brewery.
And what kind is it? Because it's really good. I don't usually have beer, but you know, since you brought it, I decided to have some.
Since I'm a red, I decided to go with Northwest Red Ale.
So, yes.
For those of you who may not know, Daniel Lee is a registered member of the Communist Party. Is that correct?
Or was until I was kicked out because I was too radical for their taste.
Kicked out of the Communist Party for being too radical. That's like, you know, me saying I'm hardcore when I'm standing next to Curtis. Anyway.
So, yeah, what we're going to be talking about is all the jail deaths in Cowles County. And I personally had a cousin that passed away in Cowles County Jail back in 2004. Her name was Nicole. And I don't really feel like giving out a bunch of details. She died in jail, though. They said that she should probably be on suicide watch, and she ended up killing herself. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's just pure negligence. That shouldn't be going on.
That's right.
Right. Now, I understand that Daniel Lee has started a cause on this, right?
That's right. I started up a Facebook page called Demand an Investigation of the Cowles County Jail.
Now, for those of you out there, Facebook is like the new thing that everybody's using to communicate around the world. If you're not using it, you just, I mean, come on, get with the program.
I mean, they're going to get all of your personal information and track your every move and all that, but hey, it's fun.
It's the NSA.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So I four in particular that were covered by TDN, the Daily News, and those kind of jumped out at me, and I just started, you know, wondering what's going on here, and why isn't there a serious investigation as to what seems to be gross negligence at the jail. The four people that TDN covered, which I went on to call the Cowles County Four, was Jenny Lynn Borellis, who died May 16th, 2013. Then we have Stephanie Jo Deal, who died on August 10th, 2013. We have Daniel D. Bush, who died January 20th, 2014. And we have Cameron K., and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing this, Kuanoni, who died February 3rd, 2014. And those are just four of the many people that have died at the jail and have suffered extreme abuse and medical neglect. And Curtis, I understand that you said you had some information about another death at the jail as well.
Well, just my cousin.
Your cousin.
Yeah, my cousin.
Yeah, this is his cousin. We did also have another death over, you know, last week, but it was for you know, the coroner found that it was natural causes. You know, they opened him up and they found that he had, I think, some type of cancer.
That doesn't necessarily mean that he died from that, because
well, no, I mean a couple of days before that he was arrested for heroin and meth, which means
I just read it was meth.
Oh, meth. Okay, all right. Well, he was arrested for drugs in our area, and I'm sure that there had to have been a detox period for him.
Well, it didn't say that he was currently using, and he was caught up in a sting, which means he could have been in the area. I mean, the news report wasn't exactly clear as to whether
what his role was.
Yeah,
and once you're dead, you can't be charged or convicted of a crime. So,
right.
I mean, you're innocent until proven guilty.
So
he hasn't been proven guilty, so he didn't do shit as far as I'm concerned.
That's right.
Hey, all right, you guys got it. That's why they need to take out, that Lee Harvey Oswald killed Kennedy. Because he actually never went to trial, they never found him guilty.
Yeah.
And there's questionable.
Agreed.
So they need to take that out of the history books, and they need to keep saying that he, stop saying he's the guy that did it. Because they never tried and found him convicted.
All those documents
if you're thinking along those
classified
lines.
here pretty soon, aren't they? It's not that far away
yeah,
now.
right.
I mean, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
They said what year it's going to come out. They're just waiting for all the people that were around and involved in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and the brain is still missing. Anyway.
Yeah. But yeah,
the banks fucking killed Kennedy. That's who killed Kennedy.
Well, I did hear that he was talking about going back to the gold standard. Is that correct?
Yeah, and then they
But now we're getting off track and off topic.
Not really, because there is the private prison.
Okay. All right. Okay.
The whole private prison industry in America.
It is becoming an industry because they are now. I understand that they have put in video communication systems, and they charge the inmates now for communicating with their family.
That's here at the county.
Right, yes, it's at the County Jail. I mean, it's all about profit.
Absolutely.
Sorry, but I mean,
it's true.
it's become, they make a lot of money on housing criminals.
Well, and not only that, but they're cutting costs, making more money by reducing prisoners down to 2 meals a day, sometimes 1. It came out in a news report on TDN. It wasn't on TDN. Sorry, it was on the Tacoma paper, talking about how they had been talking about reducing the meals down by 1 meal per day, and then personal testimony has shown that in the instance, for example, of Davida Sanchez, she was only receiving 1 meal per day.
Right.
And if you could call one single cup of Ensure a meal.
Oh.
I've been told by a buddy who got sent over to Montana for some stuff. It wasn't even that bad stuff. Anyways, he got sent over to Montana. He had to visit like every county jail, getting transferred over there from here to Montana. He said the Cowles County Jail is the worst jail between at least here and
Are you sure?
Billings.
I mean, I thought I heard people say that you could play video games in there, but I don't know if that's true.
Really?
I've never been to jail.
So
no, I haven't either.
Yeah, I've been to jail once.
Not
I
long.
got fingerprinted and then I was released.
Do they have the PlayStation right next to?
Oh, I'm just kidding, you guys. I'm just kidding.
I
don't know that. I'm just making a joke.
The shit smeared walls. I mean, I'm just wondering because I want to know if it's a PS4.
What the fuck are these video games?
Do you guys know if there's 24/7 medical support at the jail?
There is, as far as I know, there is not regular medical support. In each case, not just the people that died, but also the reports that have come up of other people as well. The RN makes maybe a pass every day, and that's about it. Numerous times when inmates have been throwing up, severely dehydrated. In the case of let me see, Stephanie Jo Deal, she fell down, hit her head, went unconscious after vomiting repeatedly, and dehydrated. Numerous prisoners had to throw their shoes at the control room plexiglass to try to get the guards' attention. The guards looked over, laughed, and turned away. When they had actually gotten her out, let's see it.
And these are eyewitness reports from people in the jail?
Yes, people in the jail, and this is information that had been included in the suits by the families of the victims. And this isn't an isolated incident. Each time Jenny Lynn Morales had a similar instance, and the inmates tried to get the guards' attention to get her medical attention.
If they're
a lot of
paying
these guards,
attention.
like, they just chalk it all up to withdrawals.
Yeah.
Well, my question is, if they aren't paying attention to the prisoners, isn't that what they're supposed to be doing? I mean,
well, I would imagine so. If you take somebody into,
I mean, I don't know enough about this, and I don't
reason. I mean, a lot of the guys, like, I'm sure a lot of the people in the Coles County Jail really should probably be there, you know. But if the state takes you into custody, they're responsible for your damn
We do
safety.
have a question for you if you're ready. This one's a tough one. So,
Alright.
it says, if you are really a communist, how can you support those types of government that send people to death camps, i.e. North Korea and Russia, China? But then, on the other hand, be appalled at what happens at the Coles County Jail. Why do you care? The communist countries in this world deprive their citizens and those in prisons of meals, medical service, and rights. So,
I'll agree this is a good question, but I was going to get to that later.
But hey, you know, somebody got to it first, and we asked it. I mean, we're asking the questions that are showing up online. So
yeah, I'll answer it, but there's a couple of inaccuracies I want to point out first. First of all, Russia is no longer communist. Russia is a capitalist country under Vladimir Putin, the Russian Federation.
He's a
I
man's
don't know if you
man.
could actually call it capitalism.
Oh, the Russian oligarchs they're making billions off of people would be quite happy to contradict that.
Dude, I love that picture of him.
They sure would.
You know, just the pictures they put out of him, like on the horse and out there fishing.
Hey, you know, he's.
We got our
That's
president
good
not
propaganda.
saluting people getting
know,
off Air Force One.
I gotta give him props for that, man. But and then you know, of course, in China you have a bourgeois class there that owns the means of production, that is factories, that is resources. They privately own it, and they're making money off of people's labor. So that, in fact, is the definition of a capitalist country. That is not the definition of a socialist country.
By the way, Kirby Drake says soldiers get 1 meal per day, MREs. So the Coles County inmates are eating better than the troops.
I've heard that they get this stuff called Nutriloaf. I don't know if that was years ago or
Is it kind of like spam?
Nutriloaf, but I've heard it's kind of like spam. Like they just take all this crap.
I mean, because
like
you can do a lot with canned spam.
And then they cook it up and give you a slice of it. Like that's what I heard. That was a long, long time
Yeah,
ago.
Kirby also asked, since the Coles County Humane Society has hired a few animal control officers from the jail, how do you think they will treat the animals? I had to do it. I mean, come on.
I know the director of the Humane Society. He's a good guy.
I hear the Humane Society
I
has
used to
made
work with
some
him.
good changes and that things are improving.
They probably are because they got a new director or manager. I don't know what they call him. His name's Keenan.
Keenan.
Yep.
Okay. So now that we've answered that question,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be some more to follow. You're a pretty exciting guest.
Well, thank you.
He's the first guest to bring us any type of gift.
Right.
He brought us beer. Oh, that's excellent.
Well, and I can guarantee that if I'm invited
Ash County
back,
beer too. He
I
brought
will
local
bring-
beer.
I will
I mean,
bring more.
he even did it right.
Yeah.
And we did have a question from Marcy, and she wanted to know what made you so radical that they kicked you out of the Communist Party.
Well, I think one of the reasons is because the CPUSA right now is basically a bunch of Democrats that like the color red. They
I
actively.
am not a fan of the Democrats.
Oh yeah, I'm not a fan of the Democrats or the Republicans.
I'm not a fan of the Republicans.
Yeah, it's the two nasty sides to the same imperialist coin.
Exactly.
They just, you know,
Well, I call them authoritarians, but
they all take the same money. Look at their
Right.
PDFs. You know, they all get the same money from the alcohol guy and the tobacco guy and the pharmaceutical guy and the doctor. You know, all you know, anything but the people. But anyway.
But yeah, they were running phone booths for the Obama campaign in 2012. They were, you know, the telethons and all that. They were doing all this stuff for the Democrats. In fact, the chairman at the time, Sam Webb, and some of his cronies actually went to the Democratic National Convention as delegates. But they, you know, when I got involved, I was like, you know, what is this? We're communists. We're revolutionaries. Supposedly, I don't see.
like that's what you signed up for.
That's what I signed up for.
You signed up to screw the system.
It's like when I signed up to be a
Say no
libertarian,
more,
I didn't sign
you know,
up
you
to
guys-
fucking
right.
vote for goddamn
Well,
Republicans.
you know what I like
fucking-
about being
the-
libertarian is
the
that
state
I
chairman
can
at the
find
time wanted
things.
to do.
Being a libertarian, I can agree with the Democrats on some things, and then I can agree with the Republicans on some things.
Well, and here's a shocker for a lot of people. I'm against gun control.
That's okay with me.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta have them to be, do revolution. That's why the Second Amendment is there, is to protect ourselves from the government and our personal property and our family.
In fact, even
from
Karl Marx
threat.
Karl Marx said that the workers
for hunting, get out of here,
shall not be disarmed.
Yeah.
It was
seriously, these people that say they're just for hunting, I mean, they're just silly. Sorry if you believe that, but it wasn't meant for hunting. Everybody knows what the Second Amendment was for, and that was to protect ourselves from any threat.
Absolutely.
Sorry,
no, but
feel passionate about
there
something.
There you go. There's some points of commonality.
So they kicked you out. We were talking about what led up to you kicking out, and then we were at phone banking, right? Before we went to you said you were not.
Right. So So I mean, I'm right now, I guess, an unaffiliated communist. What's a communist without a communist party? But there's quite a few of us out there. But
is there a lot locally here in our area?
No.
No.
Sorry.
Not yet.
No more beer for you.
Not yet. There is the Cowlitz Radical Left group that I set up on Facebook.
Do you have any probes or any questions from anybody at all?
Yeah. No. I mean, definitely. We're. Basically the idea is that I just want to. We're working towards social justice. We're working towards working for the people, and so this is. This issue, whether it's that or whether it's fighting racism, whether it's immigration rights, all of these things, are, as Mao said, serving the people.
Are these some of the things that you support in the Communist Party?
Absolutely.
What is the communist take on immigration?
Well, first of all, that the whole national borders thing, that's deliberately set up to. Control people. Exactly.
And I think we agreed on this.
And the U.S. imperial state, has set up Mexico and its other puppet states, which it keeps under a tight rein to be able to bring cheap labor in, but then shuttle them back out. And it's all part of making the fat cats money. And because where would American wealth be without the cheap immigrant labor? But at the same time, they don't want them in here, clogging up their system
or voting.
For fuck's
sake.
So
I know that me and Chris are both libertarians, and I'm pretty sure we have not the same view on immigration. I feel.
No, we have completely. I mean, that's the thing about the Libertarian Party is that. We like to debate each other. We aren't afraid to debate each other, and we go on the attack. Yeah. We don't sit around, and we don't use conventional methods. We'll do what it takes to get the job done.
So, as far as I'm concerned, I shouldn't need to show any government official any type of piece of paper, any type of piece of identification, any type of piece of permission to travel wherever the fuck I want or work to provide for my family. I shouldn't have to.
He even carries a piece of paper in his wallet that says Curtis Hart has permission to do whatever he wants. And then he signed it himself. I tried to explain to him it doesn't work that way.
No.
It works exactly that way. It's fucking free.
I told him I don't.
And I have my permit.
I don't know if people are going to see it that way.
Nice.
I should probably make a new one.
So going back to the jail and talking about the jail,
let's do that.
You wanted to tell some more of the stories about it, and then you wanted to talk about a petition that you're running right now.
Yes, absolutely.
So let's start with let's talk about the jail and the stories, the more descriptions that you have there, because people really need to know. I mean, we understand that there's been some deaths in there, but not everybody knows. I mean, they just don't. Not everybody reads the daily news.
A lot of people just assume that, like, because you're in jail, for whatever reason, if you end up dead, you shouldn't have been in jail.
Yeah.
That's just such an ignorant statement to make. I mean, like, imagine if you were diabetic and you were driving and you had some kind of diabetic incident. You look like you're drunk, and
it happens
you get
all the
out
time.
and get stopped by a cop,
It happens
and
all
the
the time.
cop thinks that you're drunk, and you start not, responding to the officer commands because you're having a freaking diabetic moment. And let's say, like, the cop's overworked and overstressed because there's a lack of funds for policing, and he's just having a shit day, and he ends up, doing whatever happens, and you end up in jail. because you had a diabetic moment and you appear to be drunk. And then let's say like what happened in the Cowlitz County Jail, they just assume everybody's just, withdrawing from heroin, and so they don't hand out any, they don't check on people. And then you end up dying in, like this hasn't happened, but this could happen very easily. Or you just end up in jail because you're having a diabetic moment and they think you're freaking drunk. Shouldn't have been in jail. So whatever happened, like you might get shivved by some gang member. You shouldn't have been in jail. That's just an ignorant statement to make.
There is one thing I will say that I agreed on with Senator Rivers, and that is about the prescription pill problem that we have, and people driving under the influence of prescription pills, and how there's, it's kind of really hard to tell, and these people get wrecks all the time and they get away with it.
Because they got a permission slip from a doctor.
Well, I have a
so as far as some of the stuff that's occurred at the jail, there's the 4 people that I mentioned earlier, their stories, and those have gotten out into the news. The Daily News has covered it. And it's interesting to note that when the Daily News reports on somebody dying at the jail, usually they'll first start out with the blurb, then they'll give a little bit more information, then the next thing you know, there will be a story about how horrible that person was and how, they brought about their own demise. No, they were going to die anyway. It was just so happened that they died at the jail. But be that as it may.
When my cousin died, I just got to give a big shout out for TDN for not really mentioning, like my cousin died in jail, how bad it was for the fucking jail staff to find her body. Like, yeah, that's just fucking horrible. I mean, don't mention how horrible it was for the family. Yeah. That we had a family member go to jail over some fucking stupid shit that shouldn't even be illegal in the first place.
We all know
as far as I'm
concerned,
victimless crimes, you shouldn't be locked up for any victimless crime. I mean, drugs you shouldn't go to jail for drugs. You should go to fucking treatment at the very most.
We don't have any treatment.
If you don't want treatment, they should just tell you to kick rocks and take your dope. Or not even take your dope. Just let you get what you get and do what you want to do, as long as you're not committing, property crimes. Property crime is a crime. And a lot of people say like,
Curtis,
this dope causes crime. What's up?
Somebody's asking what your family member's name was again.
Her name was Nicole.
Nicole.
Yep.
Nicole.
Lynn?
Right, okay. So, continue with rant.
A lot of people say that, like, dope causes crime. No, people cause crime. That's like saying a fucking gun kills somebody all on its own. Guns don't just wake up one day and decide to go shoot themselves off and fucking kill a human. A human picks up the gun and fucking does it. Just like a human goes out and commits property crime. Whatever the reason is, they're committing property crime. If you're out there just being a regular citizen and, being able to hold down a job and you want to do whatever you want to do, you shouldn't be going to jail for that. I mean, you should definitely go to jail for committing property crimes.
So you're saying that people shouldn't go to jail for selling drugs?
For selling drugs? Dude, I'm a free market capitalist. Why would I think that anybody should go to jail for selling anything as long as they got it, paying for it? They didn't steal it from somebody.
Right. I love the free market. The free market is fantastic.
If I can pose this though, not everybody goes to jail for.
I don't think the drug dealer should be selling to like little kids.
Right. But
so you think the drug should be? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry,
he just started. I was getting ready to get him, but go ahead. You get him.
It's important to point out in the instance of Julia Weave.
Okay.
She's
one of the people that died in the
no, actually, she didn't die, but her infant did.
Her infant did. Okay,
her fetus.
Did we talk about this at all yet?
This had actually come out
on the show or on?
No. We were talking about.
I'd mentioned it before.
Right. That's what I thought. Okay, yeah. So.
She was pregnant. She was about I believe it was about 13 weeks pregnant at the time. She was in a parking lot. Her boyfriend was in the car. He had locked the door, but the window was partly down, so she was trying to reach through the window to unlock the door. Well, somebody called the cops on her, saying that she was assaulting her boyfriend. The cops arrived.
There's a lot of money in domestic violence.
Oh yeah.
Classes.
It's a huge racket.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
But
Anyway, so the cops arrive. One thing leads to another. She's saying, I didn't do anything. The cop's saying, you're not obeying my instructions. Throws her on the ground. steps on her back, and is proceeding to her arm is pinned underneath her. He's yanking her arm back, and meanwhile her boyfriend's getting out of the car screaming, "She's pregnant! She's pregnant! Stop! Just get off of her!" And he proceeds to beat her around the head and around the abdomen, and then goes and takes her down to the county jail. When they get to the jail, she's booked, and by this time she's starting to bleed. They put her in a cell, and blood is rushing down.
The very fact that she's bleeding and she's pregnant, that should be ground for maybe getting some fucking medical attention. Exactly. I don't know.
Her clothes are soaked with blood, but she's getting no medical attention. She's pleading for somebody to take her to the hospital. Finally, hours later, they take her down. They get everything calmed down, but about a week or two later, she miscarries. And sometimes it's not immediate. People are like, "Oh well, she didn't miscarry at the jail." No, that's when it started. It started with the beating by the Longview PD, and then being booked without medical attention at the Cowlitz County Jail.
And then what happened with those charges?
Oh, they
got dropped.
Yeah. No repercussions were faced by the officer, and I can name names. I can name the officer that was.
You can if you want
for that.
I mean, we do have freedom of speech, and this is internet radio. Like you can if you want.
Yeah, but there is
I didn't ask on purpose. I just wanted to point that out.
There is currently a lawsuit pending. The county is stonewalling it and fighting tooth and nail.
The county stonewalling?
Yeah,
You're kidding.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
Wait a minute.
They do that.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. They're refusing to deal with it.
Newsflash.
The state's refusing to deal with it. So they're at an impasse. Next year, the statute of limitations will be coming up. And they have to get something done. They have to get this out there. This is... like I said, this is a systemic problem. This is just one instance. She did nothing wrong. Her baby died because of the police brutality and because of medical neglect, gross medical negligence at the Cowlitz County Jail. And another example would be Davida Sanchez. Now, people are familiar with her story. On the flip side, she had a custody dispute. She took her 4-year-old son down to California.
Can I back up there just for a second?
Okay.
Just for a personal note, the TDN actually ran a story about this, correct?
Which one?
They did after you
got it out. So another citizen breaking news. I have to give props to him for getting it out.
You wrote it out on the CNN report, and then Brooks Johnson came out and fucking said it was. This is from a non-journalist.
Yes.
Which I looked up the definition of a journalist, and you fit that description of a journalist. So I don't know what Brooks Johnson was even talking about. Yeah. I know what Brooks Johnson's problem was. He's pissed off that he's got a huge, more than likely, student loan debt because he got hired by a paper. So, I mean, you more than likely have to have a degree to get hired by a print newspaper.
Yeah.
Print media is just like, typewriters.
Somebody says...
So he's pretty much feeling like the person that went to school to learn how to fix typewriters.
Well, let's
in 1982.
Let's not forget that the owner of TDN is good friends with the local judges.
No, see, the point in case, what you stated about earlier, Curtis says, they shouldn't have been in jail anyway, so, whatever, blah, 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 they deserved it, or, however they want to view that stance. I'm not saying
like to give a big shout out to all the assholes that were on fucking
But somebody said that Sanchez was a kidnapper. Do you know anything about that, about her story on why she was in jail? Because about the Sanchez lady. Because they're saying that she was a kidnapper. Okay. And that she kidnapped her own son.
I was about to go into that one.
It's called custody.
It was a custody dispute. All right. She took her son to California. Her 4-year-old son. She's the mother of her son. So first off, that was a custody dispute.
You can't take your kids out of state.
Okay. But she was never charged for kidnapping. That means she's not a kidnapper. She was never charged.
Okay, so we're going back to she never got charged.
They call it custodial interference.
Custodial.
That's like a word for when you kidnap.
That was one of the. That was one of the charges, but she was never convicted of it.
We're getting off the point of her treatment in the Cowlitz County Jail.
Well, this is important though. There was.
She wasn't convicted.
No, she was not. She was not convicted of custodial interference. She was convicted instead of contempt of court, and the contempt of court carried a sentence.
They'll get you one way or another.
Yeah, see, that's the law fucking changing words of what you're doing, even though you're still doing what you're doing. They go ahead and change the words.
Well, it carried a sentence of 30 days. The custodial interference did not carry a jail sentence. He chose to go with the jail sentence.
Who did this?
I'm not sure of the name of the judge.
Okay.
So she was sentenced to 30 days in the jail. When she arrived, she has food allergies, and she also has a severe spinal problems due to a car accident from a year or two back.
She's the one who lost all the weight, right?
Yes. Okay. Yes. Definitely. And I'm not saying this to be flippant. This is not not the way to go if you're trying to lose weight, because she almost died. Seriously, and I say that because people are making jokes. Oh, what a great weight loss story! No, this is serious, because what she experienced there was starvation. Because when she went in, she started after a couple of days. The food was severely affecting her. Her allergies, her intestines started. She started throwing up repeatedly. Couldn't keep any food or water down. Eventually, she was put on a single cup of Ensure a day. But this was after over a week of constant vomiting. They assumed that she was actually detoxing, so they had a nurse look at her and they said, "Oh, you're not detoxing." They had moved her into the medical ward of the jail. Now the medical ward has no running water. It's a bare cell where they threw in a mattress on the ground.
For sure that they don't have running water in the medical ward?
This is from her testimony.
I mean, because that would be like,
yeah.
To me, a medical need would be wrong.
If you write a statement, then you're swearing that that's true, and if they figure out that you're straight up lying, you're going to get charged with perjury. They point that out to you when you write a statement.
Exactly, and I'm gonna put this out there. This information is from her written testimony.
Okay.
And so I have not personally been to the jail, but I have reviewed her testimony. I've checked up on the facts as best as I could. I found that she was convicted, that she was sentenced, and all that. So I did the background on that. But as far as the rest of this, and I have seen some comments saying, "Oh, this was disproved." Where is it? Where is that information? Because I'd kind of like to know. Since I wrote the freaking story about this, I'd like to know where that information is.
Did you get a public records request, or?
No, I haven't.
We could teach you how to do one of those.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. I'd like to.
Fine.
We've done plenty of public records requests, haven't we, Curtis?
Yeah.
But that's the thing,
Well,
I've done a couple.
Yeah, that's
you did too. You went down to the police station.
Well, I asked for stuff that Nina had already asked for.
So that's still doing our own public record request. Anyway.
But yeah, that's the thing with a lot of these things. One
By the way,
person
they're trying
will
to
type
take
up
that
a
away from
rumor
us.
and
not here locally, but counties are starting to try to take away
public record request.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do you mean?
That's exactly what I said.
Like, is that on some agenda?
Yes.
Are they doing it at the county level here in Cowles County?
Not yet, but I'm sure they will
then
after
don't
us.
talk about it, because they might be listening.
Oh, that's right. They don't. Yeah.
But they read 1984 and thought it was a fucking blueprint.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Anyway, now I don't know who Bill Josh is, but he's saying that he talked to family members and that she lost all that weight before she went in. But you're taking it from her, her testimony.
All right, Bill. Where is your proof? Where is your information?
You hear that, Bill?
Give me a link to it.
He's calling you out.
I am calling you out, Bill. I'm tired of your crap.
He messages me all the time.
Hey,
call.
Bill, call Curtis.
Call your phone. My phone fucking speaker sucks.
This is your show.
I realize that. I'll just message him really quick.
Dude, the hate phone calls I would get if I put mine online?
I'm not putting it online. I'm giving it to him. He's like, he messages me. We message each other.
What is it, like 916-75309? That's it, right?
Somebody...
He can message me if he wants to call.
Okay, so anyhow, long and short of the matter was, after 30 days...
He's going to message me now.
After 30 days, when she got out, she went down by 30 pounds. lost. She was experiencing organ failure and had to check into the hospital.
Oh, he pulled the whole post.
All right, quit interrupting about Facebook.
Well, I can't take any more questions. He shut down.
Oh, he took the whole fucking thing off?
I think so.
Probably not.
He showed you who has the power.
Is that what he said?
No, I'm saying that I'm showing you who's got the power.
I've got the power.
Come on, Huffman, unhide the post.
Anybody that has any questions can just go and like my Facebook page, because Liberty with Chris Hart, and ask questions on that. I'll start getting fucking updates, I'm sure. So back, we need to stay on
All right.
So he put the post back up. Now, Curtis, do you understand who has the power?
All right. So anyway, each time there's been a case of extreme medical negligence at the jail, and this is interesting because according to the terms of a settlement in 2001, because of the death of Edward Theodore Littlefield, who died on September 12, 2001, and his family sued, the county settled, and a part of the settlement, terms of the settlement, was that the county, and I'm quoting from it now, the county will require corrections officers to receive first aid training and attend classes on handling suicidal people and recognizing when inmates are on drugs. So would somebody with first aid training allow them allow this to go on and ignore people vomiting on themselves, falling unconscious and hitting their head, being booked with severe head lacerations?
I would like to say one
bleeding
thing.
on all over the floor.
If I was a corrections officer or a police officer in this town, I would be so fucking tired of dealing with crackheads and heroin addicts and child molesters.
And they need to go
and all these. No, I mean, come on.
Beat the street and put your application on somewhere
we
else,
as a community have to.
Like my buddy
we gotta help them out.
My buddy that's running the animal shelter, he used to work at Green Hill.
I'm not saying that's an excuse for treating people
so
bad. I'm just saying that they've got to get tired of it.
You have a good point. Because rather than taking them to jail, why not get them medical treatment?
Because that's not...
Well, first of all, I don't believe that we have a detox center in our area when we have a town full of drug use. We need something like that.
Yeah, okay, why don't we have detox centers?
Well, because our county commissioners would rather give $1.6 million to a hole in the ground.
Okay, so rather than have an actual place to keep people from dying, get them off of drugs and maybe improve conditions in the community, we're going to just stick them in jail so they'll die.
Do we really not have a detox center in
No.
town?
I think they may have like a room or two at the hospital, but that's about it. We don't have... We need mental health beds in our area, and we need a detox center. And we need to stop the drug war, and we need to take all that money, and we need to put it into mental health, detox center, education, and everything else.
Wasting money on stupid shit.
I hate to say this, there are responsible drug users out there, and then there are irresponsible drug users.
Okay, yeah, but no, you have a good point, and you have a good point. Your point that if the tax money actually went to public services that actually help people, then maybe it would be a little bit better.
You know how much Kelso fucking spent on those stupid plants by that?
$100,000.
$100,000 on plants by the bridge.
I will say it looks nice, and you know what?
Hey,
listen, I will tell you this. People are stealing those plants out of the ground. So that's $100,000 down the
drain.
drain.
Feed anybody?
No.
They could.
Specifically, they planted fucking trees, ornamental shit. They didn't plant you can't. Right there, you can't really go plant maybe fruit trees because you don't want pears or apples falling right there on the bridge.
Well, didn't we learn that planting trees near sidewalks doesn't work?
Planting trees somewhere else.
Why not a community garden?
Well, we need it, and that's you know what? I think they should do that with the alleyways in Kelso. I think that they should turn them into community gardens so they don't have people drunk to their shit in there like it's a garbage dump. You know, we won't find the needles, we won't have people sleeping in the alleys, but I've heard that the police need the alleys when they're in pursuit of people and they use them.
Okay,
but if you want to cut down crime...
you use the alley, dude, because you ain't being seen on the main roads when you're using an alley.
But what I'm saying is they could turn those alleyways into community gardens. They could use something, turn a negative into a positive.
Well, I've got a challenge then. I've got a challenge. Here's a little revolutionary challenge. You've heard of seed bombing, right?
Yes.
All right. Take edible plants. Get their seeds.
Wait. Adina says they spent 10,000.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's all right. Now it's 10,000. That could have fed how many people?
Really? I mean, Adina Grigsby really knows her stuff.
Yes,
you
she
really
does.
should vote for her.
That's why you need to vote for Adina.
I mean, she, like, straight up, she knows, like, all sorts of things about how much the city's wasting on stuff.
Yeah.
No, she doesn't usually, she might have looked it up. She probably remembers because she looked it up before.
Anyway, $10,000 on plants that they're just stealing out of the ground.
Well, why not?
Challenge.
Why not people power? Take back the empty lots. Take those things. Break up the fucking cement. Get people together to, go out and just do it. Just do it.
Libertarian Party calls that volunteerism.
Plant
Yes.
community gardens. One of the thing, and just bear with me here for a minute. The thing that the FBI feared the most about the Black Panthers. Oh, okay, I said it now. The thing they feared the most about the Black Panthers was not that they were armed, not that they were facing off with the cops. It was that their community programs. They were starting community gardens. They were feeding children. They started the free breakfast program for children. They did these things. They didn't ask permission. They didn't ask permission from the city, the state, or the federal government. They were, put on my communist hat here, as Mao Zedong said, serving the people. And that's what it's about.
I had a great quote by
Where's the part where we rip their toenails off?
Vice.
That's what I'm in for.
the vice chair of the State Libertarian Party in Washington State, Zach Banks, once told me
Love that guy.
The greatest quote I ever heard ever. You don't need fucking permission.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once we were told that we didn't need permission anymore, things got a little crazy. Okay, a lot crazy.
Yeah.
Hey.
I started doing shit.
Would you agree with this statement? It is right to rebel.
Yeah. If rebellion is absolutely necessary, then it's absolutely right to rebel. You should not rebel if rebellion is absolutely necessary.
Oh my gosh, you just agreed with Mao Zedong.
I mean, I'm sure he wasn't the first person who said that.
I was
Maybe
totally
those
not
exact
listening,
words.
so
Huh?
I was totally reading. Somebody said that we should plant some indica plants.
Yeah.
You go ahead and do that.
Don't try to educate me on that.
I get a lot of questions a lot of times, like when I post stuff about the Second Amendment from one of my buddies on Facebook, topic. And he's like, "You gun nuts! What do you think? Like you need to rebel against Obama?" And like, no, I really don't think we need to rebel against Obama, but I don't know who we're going to need to rebel against in say 40, 60 years. I certainly don't trust anybody that's not in power yet. And I certainly don't trust government just constantly taking more and more of our rights every day. It's a slippery slope.
The first lie, the one that made me realize that our government doesn't always tell us the truth.
Talk about the seatbelt, aren't you?
Have I talked about this before?
Yeah.
Well, it pisses me off, dude. They said that not wearing a seatbelt would never be a reason to pull us over. They would never pull us over for not wearing a seatbelt. It wouldn't be a primary
offense. That's what they claim.
Yeah, they said that they would never pull people over for just not wearing a seatbelt.
That's a primary offense.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, that's what they mean. You can't lie to your people. You can't lie to the people. I mean, you have to tell them the truth.
Well, they probably weren't lying at the time, and then some new dick got in charge and decided, we should just start pulling them over for that. I mean, people should wear the seatbelts, but if you don't want to, then it's fucking all on you. You need to fucking put your kids in seatbelts.
Yes.
Straight up, and you should wear a fucking seatbelt. But when you think about any law, you should realize that when you
I should have the choice to wear a seatbelt or not. No government should have. They shouldn't have to tell me. That's not their job to tell me to wear a seatbelt.
You got to realize that any law could end up with somebody's death over that law. Any fucking tech. Look at the guy that got choked out for selling single cigarettes, dude. The only reason that they were butthurt over that was because of the missing text. Yeah.
Right.
He got
choked out. There was it wasn't even $1.
We're talking about Eric Gardner.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't even $1.
Yeah, he was selling single cigarettes.
Right.
And they were worried about the tax revenue loss, because that's the only reason that you would want somebody to not be selling cigarettes.
Well, I heard it went down that the store owners in the area were complaining about the competition.
Well, yeah. Fucking free market. Quit trying to beat corporatism, fascist assholes. That's basically what happened. They called the cops and fucking killed their competition.
Well, it's not
fascism.
He's also wearing a Walking Dead shirt. I'm starting to like him a lot more.
Thank you.
The beer is really good too. I'm
Yep.
gonna have to give Ashtown props on that.
That is good beer.
Yeah, I could tell your cheeks are a little red. And
I don't drink very often.
I don't
drink
either.
very much
It's
to
pretty
get
good
drunk.
stuff. Gonna have to go get my
Go-
own now.
go Northwest
I like
Red.
the container that they sell that. It's like
I
a
know,
little
these
moonshine.
growlers are awesome. I
Yeah,
love them.
that's pretty cool. I love local businesses. They really help things out. All that money stays here. All of it.
Oh.
If I could just,
Yeah.
I've got a petition out on
Oh, the petition.
change.org.
Yes.
I've posted it around on a lot of the local groups and all that. You can also find a link to it on the Facebook page, Demand an Investigation of the Cowlitz County Jail and Longview PD. And if you go on there, you can get the link. There's over 440 signatures on there right now. I'd like to get up to 500, and I'm going to send it out to the State Attorney General Bob Ferguson and also the U.S. Attorney Loretta Lynch. Now I know that this is throwing a drop in a huge ocean right now, but the point is that we are creating awareness. We are educating ourselves. We're educating our neighbors. We're educating our fellow members of the community, and we're starting to make some noise. The more people make the noise, the more the people on top want to keep it quiet. And if it gets to be a roar, they're going to do something, not because they want to,
did you
but
say
because
roar?
they have to.
Did you say roar? Because
Roar.
we are going to be protesting the Cowlitz County Jail next Friday.
Have we not
Next
mentioned that?
Friday.
Not yet.
Oh.
This was the perfect opportunity.
Yes.
He said roar.
Make a roar.
Make a roar, and that was just the perfect segue into the protest for July 31st at 3:30 p.m. till 6 p.m. in front of the Cowlitz County Jail. Bring your own sign.
Make a roar. Bring your own sign.
Yes, and we will have Bullhorn Jesus Curtis Hart out there. That is his new nickname, Bullhorn Jesus. So if you see him in his little yellow hat, he got that nickname from Daniel. A different Daniel.
Oh.
He's not here, Daniel Baumfalk. He is currently touring some big trees. But anyway.
He's the guy that started Volunteer Kelso, which is
Yes.
an excellent group.
Actually, we talked about that, and he
up.
said that he really didn't start it, that it was really a community effort.
He's
So,
the one that
yeah.
created the page.
Yeah. Well, that just tells you what he said when we talked
Yeah,
about it.
it's called not trying to take
I know,
credit.
he's awesome. Anyway,
What do you want?
I don't know if he's
What,
listening
you got
to
a
the
man
show
crush
now.
on him over here?
Well,
He's
everybody
awesome.
loves Daniel. Dude, he's funny. I mean, come on, he's a good-looking guy. You can't beat it. I think he should be the next county commissioner. I think he should take on Karnofsky and get rid of that guy.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, when the county commissioners start blaming the city of Kelso and the Kelso Police Department on like the drug problems that are going on, drug overwhelming, I'll just call it what it is.
Uh-oh.
What it was. Their
You're going to
official
upset
names
some
will-
people.
Oh, wham. None of those motherfuckers are listening, I'm sure. So it doesn't even matter. But if they're going to just go ahead and blame the drug problems on like the Kelso PD ain't like planting dope on nobody.
No.
First of all, you know how much fucking paperwork you got to do when you arrest somebody? A cop can much more easily go out and find somebody committing a traffic crime. They go taking the trouble to go planting dope on somebody. So that ain't a thing. Right there. Back on topic. I'm kind of drunk, so.
That's a
No, I mean,
great
it has
thing.
occurred. It has occurred in the past.
It has occurred in like Kelso.
I don't
I'm
know.
just
I don't know about
specifically-
the
This is
I'm
what.
talking
The
about-
only police
I'm
officers
talking
that I
about-
know, I know a few sheriff
I'm talking about
officers
the cops in
and
general.
Since you guys
Kelso
decided
Police
to bring it
Department.
up, the topic, I was going to try to stay away from it tonight. Love overwhelming. Or what did you call it?
I'm so over drug overwhelming. It's not like I came up with it. I ain't gonna say who came up with it.
Oh, fine. Anyway, so let's go back to the jail. And where would we leave off at?
Well, I've got the petition. I'd like to invite everybody to check it out, to sign it, and to share it with their friends, family, etc. on social media. I mean, I'm looking forward to coming to the protest.
Do you have any suggestions for signs of things that people could say? Because some people, they would probably come out to a protest with their own sign if they had some inspiration.
How about a stay at the county jail should not be a death sentence?
That's a good one, yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. What do you think, Curtis?
People don't deserve to die in jail.
Yeah.
Huh? That's another one.
How about human rights are important, even in jail?
How about running water in the medical ward?
Yeah.
I mean, because let's.
We gotta make sure that's
we
thing.
gotta make sure that's a thing first.
Maybe we should all go take a tour of the jail, just demand it.
Well, why not?
You might just not be able to let go.
But no, seriously, that brings up an important point. There in Longview, and I don't know about Kelso, but in Longview there used to be a citizens review board of the PD.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I applied for that.
Dusha got rid of it. And I don't know how long ago it was.
Was that a city council member?
No, police chief Jim Dusha. And I don't know if it was right when he started or if it was taken apart by the city council. But there used to be a citizens review board. Why isn't there one? Attended a meeting of the Interfaith Advocates for Justice group. That's a lot of local churches are involved in it, and
do you know which ones?
Is that important? I mean, is it relevant to?
He knows off the top of his head.
Okay, all right.
Well, I know that there's an Episcopal church. There's a Methodist church. There's several other churches involved. Anyhow, so I was invited to attend a meeting that they had invited Longview PD Chief Dusha, and I'm probably mispronouncing his name, but I don't care. Jim Dusha.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
What? And his subordinate to come in and talk about on the topic of police brutality, the issues that have been going around the nation, and in particular, any concerns that were in the community in general. Now, when I arrived, I found out that they had already had prior conversation with Dusha regarding regarding the questions that would be asked, and they actually agreed. Now, get this, guys. They agreed to softball him questions that they had previously submitted a week before.
Well, there's a lot of softball questions around this county.
For approval, and only those questions. Well, being the rabble-rousing communist that I am, I invited Julia Weed,
That's excellent.
who was brutally beaten by the Longview PD. No, she's not. No, I'm not going. No, I'm not going to put that on anybody that's not. All right. She's a victim of the Longview PD.
And she's willing to speak out about it.
She's willing to speak out.
Is she coming to the rally?
I'm going to invite her. I'd like to invite her. Absolutely. But she had asked me to write her story, and I did when I put it in CNI reports, so that I invited her to come along to the meeting. Well, when she arrives, and she had understandably invited her lawyer to attend with her.
Well, sure.
Because she's got a current case pending in federal court. Exactly. You don't show up with friggin' enemies there and not have some defense. If they prove in court that she miscarried because of what happened to her in the jail.
You're the battle voice.
If they find in the court case, I imagine there's a court case.
Yeah.
That her miscarriage was due to her stay in the Cowles County Jail. That's big money in a lawsuit.
Absolutely.
And we're all going to be paying for it.
Yeah, that's taxpayer money.
Thanks, government.
Public money will pay for that.
Well, and the point.
All you had to do was spend the money on the training.
Right.
Now it's going to cost you much more.
Exactly.
Not necessarily training, like a lot of
training.
People, no, it's not necessarily fucking training because.
Well, they have mental health issues.
Understaffed and overstressed is a big problem. Like, I'm a libertarian. I'm over here saying, it's not that we need more cops. We might need better cops, but
no, we actually do need more cops in Kelso.
If I used to have a boss that would just add on menu items like there's no tomorrow, and when you do that. You can't do stuff like pull off extra garnishes. You can't do the extra things. You start making mistakes. Sometimes you cut yourself because you're in a fucking hurry.
And then you get
end up getting pissed.
solitary.
And by the time serve-out comes around, you're just hot, pissed, and just hating everything. Yeah. I'm sure that happens at every job in the world.
Oh yeah.
So being understaffed and overstressed can't be good when you're in charge of policing the community.
Yeah.
Because when things like happen, like police brutality, because I'm sure like more than likely the person was a good person to begin with.
Well,
and he's probably just having a shit day. And like that was specifically told us by an officer. Like it's usually like they probably had 50 shitty calls and they snapped on somebody.
Right.
And like that's an awful thing. That more than likely wouldn't happen if they weren't completely fucking understaffed and overstressed.
Well, and part of it's the police culture as well, because a lot of them develop this us versus them mentality.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's a great song. Oh no, wait, I said something else.
There's a saying, you know, good cops don't stay good or they don't stay cops. And you know, if you really think about it, that's true, because the ones that stay quiet about the abuse, the ones that go along with the system, they're not good cops. They're not good. The ones that do speak out are purged out of the fold.
Yeah.
You know, they're hounded out, they're ostracized, they're brought up on charges, they're fired. So good cops don't stay good or they don't stay cops.
Yeah, bad cops give good cops, you know, bad name. Like they make cop haters. Right. I was a cop hater for a long time when I first started being when I first joined the Libertarian Party. Like one of the first issues that I started trying to get involved with was police body cams, and I don't think that police body cams are that great of an idea anymore because of
the simple with the cop.
Yeah, a cop fucking told me a point of view that I never even thought of.
The cop had a great point, though. I mean, he did. You know, the body cams can go both ways.
If you're walking around with a body cam on, all of a sudden you can have a computer uploading that shit and deciding what to charge you with and what not. It completely takes out...
It already happens with dashboard cams.
Right.
Yeah, but not to the point that it would happen with a police body cam. And you know, there's like several privacy issues that.
Well, absolutely.
You know, like some bullshit happens in your house, and like this is the issue that like the one he gave me. Like, let's say like some bullshit happens at your house, like you and your wife are drinking, you get into it. Like, let's say it's 3 in the fucking morning. Nobody's looking good at 3 in the fucking morning drunk. Okay. Yeah. And due to, you know, public records request, you could just like get that shit and be uploaded on internet. Nobody wants that. And like that's not a good idea.
Well, they don't.
It's kind of a good idea when you think that somebody getting shot, but you know, like all those things can be fucking taken off. And if a cop wants to be a dick, you just say like, it fell off when I was running. Well, but then you got like you got the people that are looking at the video like stuff like they could see crimes and then like you just get charged with shit because you did it and it's on fucking camera. And let's say that it just takes the discretion completely out.
Well, the woman that recently died in jail in Texas, I'm sure you've heard about that. She was a Black Lives Matter activist that was pulled over.
And she wanted to put her cigarette out.
She was in her car.
Yeah.
She was in her car and the cop told her to put her cigarette out.
I mean, they did tell people you can't smoke in your car with your kids anymore. So why can't he casually put your cigarette out while he's talking to you?
Yeah, well... Yeah.
Just saying.
So...
If we're going to talk about overreach, let's talk about overreach.
Okay. Okay. But anyway, so, yeah, there was no reason she should have been arrested in the first place. And then she was murdered. I'm going to say that. She was murdered by the cops in jail. When the cops the police department released the footage had been edited and altered.
Yeah, because the only footage I've seen is like they find her dead, and then they show some footage like they weren't there before.
Well, the footage that they took out, which they've now been forced to release, shows the cop pulling out his taser and saying, "I'm going to fucking light you up."
When did this happen again?
Just recently.
I turned off the national news like months ago. I can't take it. We've got 17 Republican candidates. I can't handle that.
Stupid. Oh, but good for them.
It's actually really smart if you think about it because the Democrats don't know who to attack. Republicans only have like what 2 or 3 people.
You got to be entertained by Trump at least.
Yeah. I mean, this is shielding. I mean, the Republicans are playing this out perfect. You've got 2 Democratic candidates that are going to make it through there. It's going to be Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders, or maybe they'll team up. Who fucking knows? But what I'm saying is that the Democrats don't know who to attack now because they have no idea who the true Republican nominee is.
Okay, nobody takes Trump seriously.
Dude, everybody is taking Trump seriously. Have you not?
Fox News is taking Trump.
I don't watch Fox News anymore. So it's not because they aren't
truthful
or anything.
Go ahead and say adults. take Trump seriously. People that don't really know what's going on.
Oh my gosh, I feel terrible because everybody I'm standing in the grocery lines next to are like, yeah, Donald Trump. Woo.
Yeah. They're like, Republicans are trying, like, he's running as Republican.
Yeah.
Republicans claim to be fiscally responsible, but Donald Trump's taken out bankruptcy like, I think 6 to 8 times.
Sometimes it could be financially feasible.
And they like him.
You will lose less money.
It's called theft.
Oh.
That's what bankruptcy is. You know, like, I tried taking out bankruptcy once, and there was a lot of paperwork.
No. The people always have
to
pay their bills.
Fuck it, I'll just pay my bills.
No. We don't get like checks.
Way too
like
much paperwork to do.
Yeah.
But when you're a guy like Donald Trump, you just pay your lawyer to fucking fill out paperwork. You don't have to worry about it.
Exactly.
It's theft.
Well, you know, and Trump is the dog and pony show. He's there to make people laugh. You know, while everything else is going down. While the Asia trade agreement's going
like
down.
She committed suicide.
Hey, Bill Josh is saying he wants to call in, but you know.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Text him your number.
That's ridiculous. Her parents specifically said.
He's saying, hey, Bill Josh is saying that this lady died 3 days later in jail of a supposed suicide.
Oh, really?
That sounds like cover-up story, possibly. No, that wouldn't happen anymore.
We'll see if he calls.
That's
I gotta call. I gotta call.
All right, Bill. The phone number has been texted to you on Facebook or Facebook message.
Yeah. I can see the little thing. Facebook's listening.
Oh, we see that you've seen it. So now you can call in.
Yeah.
And we can get it on.
She had just gotten a new job.
New job.
She was very active in the movement. Her family said that she had been doing great, and that there was no suicidal tendencies whatsoever.
Bill, you're not calling.
He might be getting ready to call. Like maybe he's having no.
There he is. Can you hear us?
This is because
Bill,
Liberty left Curtis Hart on Radioactive Rock.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
What's up, Bill?
Hey, what's up? So, I don't know if you guys watch the news or read the news or anything, but that lady in Texas, the cop pulled over, right, and he did taser, but she went to jail, and she was in jail for 3 days, and they released the video camera footage of her, or of all the time that she was in jail before she committed suicide.
Did it show her committing suicide?
Where'd you see that? Fox News?
The footage shows that she was in jail, that there was nobody in her cell or close to her cell, and one of the, I don't know if it was a sheriff or a corrections officer, but they looked inside of her cell, and they immediately went and got somebody else, and you could tell that nobody was there, that she hung herself.
Did you literally watch the entire video that they released, or did you see this on the news? Because there's no way that the news...
No, I watched the video. I know the news doesn't report it all, but unless there's a new version released that I don't know about. I mean, I watched this early this morning.
How long was she in jail before she killed herself, apparently?
3 days.
3 days.
3 days. So you watched 3 days worth of video?
No, they released the video footage. Well, I get what you're trying to say.
Okay. This is from the same police department that edited the footage of her arrest, in which the cop, after they had been forced to release the rest of the footage, showed that he had gone after her unprovoked with a taser. They had already edited the footage. This is the same police department. Oh, you don't think they might be covering the butts on this?
Well, if they did, and they edited the footage, then I'm sure that at some point it's going to get released.
Oh, it may be. Oh, sure.
Well, it depends if they edited it out of existence.
Where did you hear about the taser thing?
I was listening to the news today. On I think it was on NPR.
Say what?
You're still here. We were just, we were going over news sources.
Find that shit.
No, what? What am I looking for?
I mean, I believe him. He doesn't have any reason to lie. I also believe Josh, but apparently, I guess has newer information than Bill Josh.
Well, and you know what? Just over the fact that the footage has been edited, that means the whole thing is tainted.
Then it's fucked.
Right, it's all tainted. We will never know what the truth is.
If they edited that shit, they're totally screwed.
Yeah, I mean, if there's editing going on, you just can't do that.
Yeah, what I heard, or what
hopefully
I
it was NPR, because NPR is, as far as I'm concerned, trustworthy.
Which
Are you looking that up?
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you remember her name?
Do you remember her name?
Say what?
Do you remember his name?
The woman's name.
I don't have any idea. We got dead air. So.
Okay, Sandra Bland.
Okay.
Here we go. All right.
Her name was Sandra Bland.
Bland.
Okay.
By the way, I do want to say that, and I won't cite my source, but I did speak to a Cowlitz County person today that was
Cowlitz
pretty
County
smart.
person?
Yeah,
That's
Cowlitz
anybody
County
in the
person.
county.
Right.
Like, was this a Cowlitz County?
They may have been law enforcement in our area.
They may have been law enforcement.
They may have let me know that the sheriff could end the traffic cam program at any time. He has the authority to do that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the sheriff
I don't
is the highest
really-
authority in the county.
I think that's, what was
Yes.
going on, but
That's how
so
it is.
citizens out there that are angry about the traffic cams, the sheriff can end that program anytime. Pick up the phone, ask him to do so.
Start calling the sheriff.
Just
What's the
start
sheriff's
calling.
phone number, Chris?
Oh, the sheriff's phone number?
Sheriff
Hold on.
Chris can figure out the sheriff's phone number here. Like, it's quick because we got Google.
It's
Google
in my
pretty
phone,
much.
but I don't have, my phone is broken.
How'd you break a phone while you're looking up for this?
I was talking to Bobby Joe Brewer on my kid's soccer game, and I got a little upset, and I fumbled my phone, and I dropped it and it broke.
Okay, here we go.
Shitty deal.
Yeah, it was election season.
This is from the BBC. Can we agree that
absolutely.
the BBC is a reliable source?
Sure.
Kinda. But yeah.
Kinda. Well,
It's still
in this
mainstream
regard-
media, and they all lie to us,
It's
so I
mainstream
mean,
media.
It's all Rothschild.
I agree.
It's all force fed,
Okay.
Do your own research. We have the internet
As
for
reliable
God's
as any mass media can be at this point in time.
Oh, wait. We're still got the car. I'm going to let you go.
sakes. Sorry, Bill.
Okay.
You're out. You're out of the circle.
U.S. officials have denied editing Texas police dash cam footage. There were several jumps in the 52-minute film, which was watched more than 1 million times on YouTube. The officials later removed the video and posted a version without glitches. The coroner said that the 28-year-old hanged herself. Family demanded an independent investigation. In the video released by the Texas Department of Public Safety, Brian Encina, a white police officer, is seen issuing a ticket and asking Bland to stub out her cigarette. She refuses to step out of the car, tries unsuccessfully to pull her out. He then appears to threaten her with a taser and says the words, "I will light you up." She gets out of the car and they move out of vision. The audio suggests the confrontation becomes more physical before the officers arrive. Several breaks in the original footage were highlighted on social media shortly after the film was released, with many using them to question the entire film's authenticity. And they are...
Oh, shit.
The DPS spokesman said the video has not been edited.
So, for those of you who would like the phone number to call our sheriff, and our sheriff's name is Mark Nelson, really nice guy.
He is an elected official.
He is
but
an
y'all
elected
didn't-
official. He's
Y'all didn't not vote him out of office last
great
time.
guy.
I didn't
Just
actually vote
pick
for
up the phone and call 360-577-3092 and tell him that you heard these wacky guys on the radio that said that he had the authority to fill the traffic cam program at any time.
Well, he would, because the sheriff is the highest authority in the county. That's just the way it is.
Yeah,
I can't remember exactly how it was explained to me, but I'm sure there's an attorney out there that explained it to the sheriff on his authority and the power that he has. But he can do away with the program. I mean, this person knows, the person that talked to me and told me this, they know the law. Trust me. They know the law very, very well.
Well, that's
They
how,
also,
that's how Sheriff Joe
they also know the
Arpaio got away
Constitution
with all the
very
crap
well.
that he has.
Can you imagine that? A law
Unconstitutional
enforcement
crap
officer that knows
he's
the Constitution.
highest elected official.
I know somebody that stayed in that camp.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What were you saying? I was
Nothing.
listening.
You guys are going off. I'm
Sorry,
going off
my
about trying
bad.
to get people to call the sheriff in that traffic light program that everybody's so pissed off about. End it. I don't care how much money they make
I'm
from
not
it.
pro cams like filming me without my consent anywhere. Like
traveling
on a road that they stole my tax money to pay for in the first place isn't really consent, because I could be walking.
Right.
I should be able to walk wherever I want.
They can put in these big yellow flashing
for a
signs to
fact
warn
that
us
these
about
traffic cams
the
ain't
traffic
taking my
cams that
picture.
are ahead. Warn us about the school zone. Anyway, this is, I'm not saying whether I disagree or agree with the traffic cam. I'm just saying that citizens can put pressure on the sheriff to end it. Oh, you're asking me my personal opinion?
Yeah.
Well, I don't like being filmed in the public. I don't think the government should be filming us. I don't think that they should. and I've said this online several times, they should not be farming the public for money.
No.
They get plenty of our money, manage it better. That's their job. But no, they do all these things, these social programs.
$10,000 for plants. I don't even care about social programs, dude. $10,000 for plants. They couldn't find people to donate plants.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
nobody has any money.
Dude, there's companies around here that sell plants. They couldn't be like, hey,
that
you guys
takes
want
away
to
from
donate
the profit
plants?
margin.
Like, they could have. I don't know that they didn't ask.
No, I'm sure that, you
Just
know, there's
saying.
lots of good companies around our area that
I'm
do
sure
that.
they would have if they would have asked. I don't know that they didn't ask. They
Or
should have
just-
asked first.
or just
That should
put in-
maybe be
yeah.
a law for government. Like, you should ask for fucking donations before you go and spend a bunch of tax money on shit.
Or
Let's
put
just
in-
call
put
it
in
public
plans to
money
give
because
back
some
to
people have confusion
Yes.
on what fees and taxes are.
Yes, I
and
heard
they twist
today
it. So, public money.
I actually wrote this down as one of my things to talk about is doublespeak and taxes, and when people that work for the government decide that something isn't a tax when it really is. If you're paying a fee for something that is absolutely required for you to pay to do something, as far as I'm concerned, it's a tax. Like, they can call it a fee, they can call it a, what else do they call it?
They're still taking money from the public.
Yeah.
No, but what do they call it?
Tax, fees, licensing, whatever you want to
document
call it.
recording
Document
fees.
recording funds.
This isn't paid for by taxes. This is paid for by document recording fees.
Yeah, that's
It's
still
the
public
same
money.
thing.
They still
It's
get the money
double-speak.
from the public. It comes
Like,
from our
instead they use
pockets.
1984 as blueprint. That's the kind of shit that I'm talking about. Like, they changed the fucking words that they're using for what it is. We were talking about that earlier. Like, it still is what it is.
Yeah.
You can call it taxes or you can call it a document recording fee, but like, you can't buy a house without paying for this. And like,
Somebody's
the
asking if
communists,
you
I'm
can
sure
post
you're all
that
for it,
link
but
to the
like, when you
BBC.
go to buy a house, you got to pay a document recording fee. And they give it out to solve the homeless problem, which is like, I'm all for the community house. I don't like fucking Love Overwhelming because they're just.
By the way, nobody can find a 990 form out there. So if we could play a little Carmen Sandiego game, if you can find the 990 form for Love Overwhelming,
You get a
please
star.
message us because, you know, we can't find one.
Like,
Nobody can find one.
I'm not for not solving homeless problem. I'm definitely not for like getting people that need some help and then getting a bunch of people that are out victimizing people a place to go victimize people without any repercussions or rules. Or you got to go for the night, but you're not 86th off the property. Come back tomorrow all junked up and.
Hey, I posted it on my page, but I'm on my phone, so I can't share it to the group.
Okay. So Bill, he posted that link to the BBC to his page.
On my Facebook page.
On his Facebook
I mean,
page?
my Facebook profile.
His Facebook profile.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's so anybody can see it. But it's on the Facebook profile.
And I'll post a link to your.
If somebody could, if somebody
Especially
could
on
like
my
just
page.
share it off of there, that would be cool.
Maybe
share the
somebody
shit
could
out.
share the link for Daniel.
I mean,
Because I'm on
this
my
is
phone, I got
obviously
limited
something
ability.
that communists and libertarians agree on is police brutality isn't a good
Yeah.
thing. I mean, shouldn't die in jail.
Exactly.
People are like, oh, they shouldn't have been in jail. That shit just pissed me off. I ended up typing on Facebook for way too long over that stupid stuff. So, it's 9:49. We have a few minutes left.
Let's talk about the protest more.
Yeah.
Protest.
So,
Do
the
tell.
protest.
5:30.
3:30
3:30
to
to
6
6. I don't
o'clock.
know where I got 5:30 from.
Friday, July 31st. I believe that's Friday, July 31st, if anybody has a
Mm.
calendar in front of them. We will be doing that.
So I got to be exploited until about 5. My labor's going to be exploited until about 5. So will you guys still be out there?
Absolutely, we'll be there till 6. So, you know, if you work and you can't make it, just show up when you
I'm
can.
sorry.
So,
Hey, I like to say it exactly as it is.
so again, that
You
number
can
for the
leave
sheriff's
and go find
office
a better
is
job, though. We got
577-3092.
9 minutes
Call and
left.
It doesn't
ask him
matter
to
where
end
you
the
go,
traffic
your
light
labor's still
program
exploited.
or the traffic cam
I
program.
mean, like, what if you get exactly what you're asking for?
It's still exploited for profit. As long as they're making profit off of your labor, that's still
It's
exploitation.
not exploitation if you're agreeing to it.
No, can a slave agree to slavery and it still not be slavery?
How is it not slavery if the person that owns it has to give it out
No, the person that.
against their will?
I'm derailing this. I'm sorry, guys. You
No,
don't
it's fine.
have.
We're in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Like, I
you
knew
don't-
we were going to get on this.
You don't have a choice. You don't have a choice You either work or you starve. That's not a choice.
No, that's not true, dude.
That's not a choice. No. Nobody wants to starve and die.
You can't go to fucking. If you want to go to Love Overwhelming, you will starve because they ain't doling out no food. But if you go to the community house, they do.
That's not fair. They have top ramen and cup of noodles.
That's some shit. They're like, oh yeah. And what happens when you cook top ramen and cup of noodles at fucking Love Overwhelming?
You get fingered.
You get fingered by some random dude. Like,
and eventually, one way or the other,
that's
you're
straight from the
jail.
police reports.
Hey,
there was somebody randomly fingering a chick.
And you're gonna die.
Against her will.
That's a good point.
So you don't take the job that you're given, or you go and get a different job, and you still get exploited. If you decide not to do that, you end up on the streets. You end up in the Camas County Jail, and you die.
I don't think that you're getting exploited. Like, I don't make enough money at my work as far as I'm concerned, and nobody else there does. But like, we could all go get better jobs. Like, I could go get a better job. I just got
like Curtis is going to school to be a lawyer now, so watch out.
It's the value theory of labor. You're producing something. Everything that you do goes towards producing something, whether it's customer service, whether you're actually hammering something on a production line, whatever that is. It's all built into.
In America, it's voluntary.
Well, not necessarily. It's all built into creating a product. That product is then sold for.
It's called student debt.
That product is then sold for a certain amount. That amount then.
You agree to that amount.
No, you take that amount,
There
is no agreement in the fact that you have to take a job or you're going to fucking die. There's no agreement in that.
You don't have to take a job or die though, because you can go on social services.
Which, if you get TANF, you have to take a job, or you don't get TANF anymore. So you get a job, or you die.
What is TANF for people that don't know what TANF is, like me?
Money, welfare.
TANF is welfare money.
What's it stand for? Doesn't even know off the top of it.
Oh, dude,
temporary
really?
aid for
Come on.
temporary
You
aid
know
for
this?
families. Yes.
Wow.
Well, he's a communist. Why wouldn't he know that shit?
They do like to control things.
I mean, he
sorry.
He knows his shit. Like, I'm sure he knows all sorts of shit. We should probably have him back.
Yeah, we probably should have him back.
He
brought us beer,
like,
didn't and he brought us good beer.
I totally put off preparing for this show every week. And like, I asked him yesterday, I need a guest. We'll have, who are we having next week?
You actually planned for a guest next week? Or are you just randomly picking somebody from your phone?
Cody Davis is our...
Okay, so who's Cody Davis?
He's the socialist.
The socialist?
Yes.
Okay, so
I
was
different
confused.
People. There is a difference.
I was thinking that he was the socialist.
I'm going to ask you what the difference is, and I'll ask him. What is the difference between a socialist and a communist?
All right, well...
So I think it's just it's all part, like different branches of the same.
Well, no, I mean, there's a lot of people that probably don't know.
Anyways. That's what I believe.
It's all about education. Go.
Okay. There's different definitions, but in this particular one that we're talking about, a socialist, like Socialist Party USA, Socialist Alternative, Kama Sawant, etc., they believe in achieving economic justice through democratic, i.e., electoral means. So whether that's infiltrating the Democratic Party and trying, like Bernie Sanders, and attempting to
Wait a minute. Did you say Bernie Sanders has infiltrated the Democratic Party? Wait a minute. Back up.
He's a socialist.
Oh, he's not a Democrat.
I think he's a socialist Democrat, isn't he?
So you guys...
he's a self-proclaimed...
Well, no, this is important.
He's a self-proclaimed socialist. He is not actually a real socialist. He does not attempt. He's
just like Ron Paul's not a fucking libertarian.
Okay, thank you.
And Rand Paul, for that matter.
He does not want to do away with private property.
Explain that to you because of caucusing.
Shut up. Let him finish.
Okay.
He wants to establish a kinder, gentler capitalism. That's all that he wants to do. He's not anti-imperialist. He is for the fascist Zionist state of Israel and does not give a dang about the Palestinian people, which are victims of genocide. He doesn't care about any of that stuff. He is at best a blue dog Democrat. with
snap.
a red stripe painted on it. That's all he is.
Somebody called me a blue collar.
To his ability to everybody according to his needs.
Metallic started playing all. I didn't push anything.
So-
You guys were watching me.
Now,
I look over, Metallic was playing.
so the elimination of private property is not going to be a popular idea, especially in Cowles County.
Well, let's
Or anywhere, I mean, come on.
Let's define private property.
When-
Let's define private property. We're not talking about your car. We're not talking
Well, the
about
state
your
owns
house.
my car.
We're not talking about your car or your house or your couch or your TV.
They already own they own my car already.
Not even talking about the land that you live on. We're talking about resources. We're talking about means of production. We're talking about the things that people make money off of other people's
How do
labor
you
with.
get that if not taking it from somebody's land?
Do you have a gold mine right underneath your house?
I don't know. I don't actually have fucking mineral
Listen,
rights.
if I had a gold
We
mine
don't
underneath
get
my
mineral
house, it
rights,
wouldn't be
you know,
mine
by
anymore,
right,
right?
right.
Somebody
We're
would come
talking about-
along and find some
we're
reason
talking-
to take my land.
We're talking about the big landowners that own, over 60% of the the nation's arable land, which they have fucking like Monsanto, like these other ones.
Warehouser,
exactly.
of Cowles County.
Oh,
Millions
And they bought
of-
near.
and they bought that shit
millions
on
of
penny on the dollar,
acres.
but that's not
Exactly.
capitalism. That's corporatism.
That
It's
is
not
the same thing, my
it's
friends.
not the same
It is
thing.
the same
Bill Josh is
Some-
wanting to know if he
something
can
free
call
market-
back in.
It hasn't never
Okay.
been free, so you can't blame
Yes.
the free market.
No, but that's the thing, because and I'm sorry, I'm talking on I'm trashing the free market on a libertarian show. Sorry about this, guys.
It's okay.
I called you.
Hey, listen, we encourage debate.
Yeah.
The free market has never existed and it will never exist for the simple fact that when somebody is a capitalist, somebody has a large amount of control of capital and is in control of that, they will do anything they can to acquire more, and that includes buying power in the government.
Yeah, see, I'm not for that. That's
David Koch and Charles Koch
Now
claim
careful.
to be
Wait a minute.
libertarians.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No, they do not.
Yes,
One of them
they
ran as
claim
a
to be
libertarian.
libertarians.
You gotta quit trying to tie these guys to libertarians. It's
No,
just
they,
not the
they
Republicans.
have publicly come out and said we are libertarians.
Okay.
They are.
Okay.
I'm not saying that they are your.
Well,
kind of
you
libertarian.
have rhinos. Dennis Weber, one of our county commissioners, is a rhino. Okay. There's me going on there too, you guys. I mean, come on.
I'm not saying that they're your type of libertarian. I'm saying they claim to be libertarians, and why?
Yeah.
Because one,
We're
they
doing,
want
like,
they want
gay marriage,
any.
and then it's like drug war.
No,
It's like what they do over at that one place, like all their places.
Sorry,
they
man. The
put
Cook
private
brothers pay the
background
bills.
checks.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
what they,
I wasn't gonna say it.
yeah,
What did you say?
The Cook brother pay our bills.
And like how much like a lot of people think that like you can't make a livable wage off like working for the Koch brothers, but like
Oh yeah, you can. It allows me to stay home and do what I do.
like I said,
And take care of my kids and yeah, so yeah, they do pay a very good wage.
yeah.
Very good benefits, and a lot of people
and now
don't
you don't
understand.
have to fill out a background check at all to get a job. Any Koch brothers fucking.
They're very, one of their businesses
I
in
mean, like
Oregon
they
is
do
very
bite off fucking
progressive.
people. I'll give you that. Like straight up, it's but like.
And for that, they're making hundreds of times of the amount that of the value of the labor that they're squeezing out of you.
We're gonna have
Yeah,
a purist
they're
argument
like
here.
I'm running for office, and if the Koch brothers are like, I didn't fill out the paperwork because I don't want to fill out any paperwork, so I'm not actually accepting any.
Shouldn't you be
donations.
getting the value of the labor that you're putting out? All of it?
I'm getting all of it that I agreed to.
No, shouldn't you be getting everything that you put out?
I'm getting everything that I agreed
Well,
to.
shouldn't you get it? If any profit, if any extra money is made off of your labor, shouldn't you get it?
If I was able to contract for
No,
that kind of a job, but
shouldn't
it's
you-
a take or leave it thing.
No.
That's my line of work. Like,
If
this-
you
I'm
sow,
not-
I
you
understand
shall
your
reap.
argument.
I don't
If you
understand
sow,
your
you shall reap. Shouldn't you reap the fruits of your labors? Isn't a person entitled to the fruits of their labors?
They are, but like you're also entitled to.
Then why does somebody who has not sown, who has not tilled the
The flip
fields, who
side
has
of
not
that is-
reaped, how do they have the right to take that from you?
Why should I have to pay for having a successful company? Sorry, I have a problem with that word. Successful company. Why should I have to pay my employees more because I'm making more money?
Now, this has a lot to do
You're
with
saying that the
the
employees
strike over
should
there.
get that extra money.
Now,
They wouldn't have a company
If
if
I
it wasn't
agree
for
to
the
a
employees. They
wage-
wouldn't have
But that's what
jobs.
you're saying, right?
Right.
Right. Okay. So
I agree to an hourly wage, though. Now, at a place like Capstone, where they have contract negotiations coming up, like now.
well, they've actually
quite
voted to
overdue.
strike.
Are they striking?
Well, they've voted to strike. They can strike
When
anytime.
are they? Okay, so if they're going to strike at any time, or
They
they
could.
could. Now,
I heard
a
that
place
they were
like
offered
Capstone,
another.
when they are making hand over fist profits, I've been told that they've made a lot of profits over the past few years,
They're making good money.
and they are the type of place where you have contract negotiations coming up.
More
Now,
beer. The beer is good, dude.
Fucking more beer. Now, they
Thank
have,
you, Ashtown.
They have
Thank you,
contract
Daniel.
negotiations coming up, so that's the kind of thing that they should take into account. But like in my job,
Oh.
it's
Sorry,
I'm not sure.
That's fine.
I didn't equally divide the resources.
I'm
on
not
this.
sure. Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's a good one.
Mhm.
Like I agree to an hourly wage. I get a raise. It's not much, but I agree to it.
But lawmakers get how much? How raise?
They get whatever they fucking want because they just take it.
Actually, the
Use
governor
of force.
gave it too.
I, as a libertarian, don't agree with the use of force to achieve political or social goals.
Wish I could tear that letter
Like,
up.
I do. Because ultimately, everything is force. Economic deprivation is force. Starving
Okay,
somebody,
you know.
it's force.
I agree with
Forcing
that as
them-
long as somebody doesn't have the means to go
forcing-
out and get that shit though. What about
forcing
like,
them
people
to
who want
agree
that
to
shit?
a
Like you want
substandard
communism
wage.
and you're working towards that end.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What about the people that just choose not to? So like, let's get back to the part where
I would say
Like,
this revolution
like-
is not a dinner party.
I realize that.
We're being told we
If
should
you're
make
being-
economy 101.
If you're taking the
I'm going to look up the full quote on that because it's a beautiful quote.
if you're taking the resources from somebody's land, because you said that
It's
we're
not somebody's land.
talking about taking the land,
Okay,
but what
okay,
about the resources
okay.
on the land? Like you're talking about taking the trees that are on the land.
Well, look what happened at the
They're
Bundy
trees.
Ranch. They wanted that land, that ranch, so it could be part of some big solar power company
I
thing.
think that ended up not being true.
Oh, come on.
I'm serious.
Harry Reid's son was.
Do we know this to be a fact?
Yes, he was a lobbyist for the company overseas.
Okay, well, are we talking about? We're talking about.
Anyway, so the Bundy Ranch, they want their land. They want them off the
I
land.
am not trying to make fucking Cliven Bundy or Cloven Bundy.
Not me neither. I just was using it as an I was just using it as an excuse, as an example, not an excuse. Example.
Cause.
Whatever.
There we
Anyway,
go.
what were you looking at? Did you find the quote?
Yeah.
Okay, go with the quote.
A revolution is not a dinner party, or writing an essay, or painting a picture, or doing embroidery. It cannot be so refined, so leisurely and gentle, so temperate, kind, courteous, restrained, and magnanimous. A revolution is an insurrection, an act of violence by which one class overthrows another. And the fact of the matter is that we are living in a dictatorship of the rich. You can either live in a dictatorship of the rich where they make all of the, that's the same thing,
Yeah.
where they make all of the rules. They tell you how much your labor is worth. Not you, because you could go out and find another job, but who is determining the wage of that other job?
That's exactly
not
what
you.
minimum wage is.
Not
though.
you.
The minimum-
You're not determining what the wage of any job is. They are. So you take what you're given because you're a slave. You take what you're given. You can go to another master, fine, but you're still a slave.
Well, that's especially true with the minimum wage. The minimum wage turns people into wage slaves because you got to depend on the government for a raise, for one thing, or they'll give you some penny ass little stupid raise. But they go ahead and they base what you should be making off the minimum wage.
Oh, there
which
should
is
be
just
there should be a
absolutely
living wage.
malarkey.
There should be a living wage because minimum wage is
People should
below
be-
the poverty line.
I think people should be paid what they're worth. Like I don't see
Everybody
why, any
deserves
reason why I should
the
be
right
being paid
to
the same
survive.
as somebody just fresh out of high school, not being able to do what I'm a cook, dude. Like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
unless you know how to cook,
you can't do what I do.
But you got to learn.
And I point that out to people often,
somewhere.
and it makes me sound like a dick, but it's like, the difference between me and you is I can do your job.
But somebody has to start
and like
somewhere.
people can say that to me about all sorts of shit. But like, I don't think that people that can't do their job properly should be. If they can't do their job properly, you have no job experience, and you just or maybe you just suck at your job. Like, you shouldn't be making the same as me, because I have a skill that not everybody can do. Especially
that's a common misconception.
And
because communists aren't saying everybody should make the same amount.
I would like to point out that
I
Russia is no
We're not
longer
saying
a communist nation. It didn't work there.
Okay, first off, there's never been a communist nation.
Okay.
There's been socialist nations, but there's never been a communist nation.
Just like the free market has never been free, because
Exactly.
Okay, all right.
Communism
All
is
right.
the end result of the progressive stages of socialism.
Exactly. See, there you go, Cody.
Cody will be on next week.
Socialism is a transformative process which eventually eliminates the class structure so that everyone is on an equal footing. And at that point, then you're not going to have money, you're not going to have any of that. But it's never gotten to that point, because in the end, in order for capitalism, for communism to exist, capitalism has to be extinct. All around the world, there has to be no capitalism.
Oh, that's not going to go over
And it
well.
couldn't even be possible without the fruits of capitalism, or what they call capitalism.
It's entirely possible. It's entirely possible.
How would you completely destroy all the fruits of capitalism all over the world and then think that communism is going to work?
Well, the production in socialist countries has always outstripped the rise and fall of production in capitalist countries. There's always been a rise and fall of the capitalist market. In socialist planned economies, there has only been a rise, and you can see that in the production values in the USSR. You can see that in productions even in China, and taking into account the fact that you have economic terrorism from the United States and an imperialist adventure that has gone and deliberately put any pressure necessary, all the way from the very, very beginning, in 1917, when the U.S. invaded Siberia. Yes, the U.S. invaded Siberia with the Siberian Expeditionary Force, together with the British, to try and oust the new Bolshevik government. They had continually interfered with the Soviet Union all the way through, even when over 20 million Soviet soldiers were dying on the battlefields to defeat the Nazis. The United States and the British were still squeezing every last ounce out that they could out of their so-called allies.
What about Stalin killing all those people?
That's what you
I
got.
think I got that.
It
That's what
didn't
you
happen.
got.
I mean, that's the end of the show, and that's where I'm going with that.
What she got?
It didn't
This
happen.
is the hardest debate I've done so far.
Wow.
I'm kind of drunk, and he knows his shit. So that's just where I'm falling back to.
Yeah.
What about Stalin? Well, you don't have to answer if you don't want.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and play a song.
But it didn't. It didn't.
Oh,
happen.
hey, if
You
you're
don't
going to play a
think it
song, you might as
happened?
well just end the show.
Okay.
Or what about? Okay, no. Let's
point
go
to
to
one of
something.
the.
Okay, what about Che?
Che. Okay, Che. What
I
about
know
Che?
a guy that got locked up by Che.
Yeah.
He did 17 years in prison,
Okay.
Cuban prison, for not taking part of the revolution when he was
Okay.
14 years old. He was a former client of mine.
You're screwing with your phone when you lay down your arm to drag it across. That's what's been playing the music.
So, I mean, like, that was his crime. He didn't take part of the revolution when he was 14. He did 17 years in prison, and then they kicked him out of the country.
Okay. What else? What else did he do?
I do have a question.
I mean, I don't know. He was 14.
But what else did he do? Did he support the Batista?
I have no idea.
If he didn't support-
fucking talk a lot. Like, it took me. I worked with the guy for, I think, 7 or 8 months, and that's about all the information I got out of him. Because when I asked him, like, what was the prison like, he's just like, I ain't talking about that. He didn't talk a lot at all.
The reason why we had you on the show tonight is because, like Countless County Newsman says through the site online, we're about trying to educate people about things that they normally wouldn't be educated about.
Yeah.
So we had a communist on the show tonight. Next week we'll have a socialist.
Yeah.
But so from what I understand from you, you would support armed revolution against the current government.
Absolutely.
You openly advocate
But
for
only
violence against
You're
once.
fucking doing that.
Only once.
Not on my show.
Yeah.
Don't openly advocate.
I'm not
I'm
openly.
not-
I'm asking him his
Yeah.
political
Because I know that,
stance.
like, that's one of the rules you can't break on KLTV. I don't know.
We aren't fucking on
No,
KLTV.
we're not on KLTV, but like, let's just not
Yeah.
go there.
Is
just
that a legitimate question? I mean, at least you don't.
it's a
We don't have to
legitimate
ask.
And if I was to be on air, because we're having a personal conversation,
Right.
but if I was to be on air,
we're
I
on
could
it.
say,
We're still on it.
okay.
Okay. Just saying.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But, okay.
Yeah, we're still on.
Well,
So
okay,
don't
but
answer
still,
it, but just
now that we're having a personal conversation on the air, I would say first off that this is to any NSA agents listening out there or FBI, etc. Yes, you can do exactly that, and that also this is a constitutionally protected political belief. And that there is no clear and present threat in what I'm about to say.
Right.
But that, first off, said revolution would only happen with the support of the working class. So
Yes.
that would come through a popular revolution. That would come through the masses rising up.
Okay.
Which we're not talking about tomorrow. We're not talking about next week.
I'm just the end game.
But
end goal,
that's what I'm putting out there. Is this is not I'm saying
if we're going to teach people about communism, let's teach them about what they actually believe
I don't think the
in.
use of force is a good idea.
But that's the difference
not
between the
necessary.
libertarians.
It's
So
not-
we
not
have on
necessary.
record that he.
If you're pushed to the point where you have to fight or die,
But
then
that is
there
the
you
point.
go.
Every single revolution that has ever successfully happened in history has been through force, because it is the clash of one class overthrowing the power of another class. Whether it's the American Revolution, where it's the forces of the American bourgeoisie overthrowing the monarchy, or whether you're talking about the French Revolution, or whether you're talking about the failed revolutions even.
A lot of the times when like communists have
Are you sure?
yes, I read this
Wow.
when I was a socialist. I read a book called "Fucking Secret Societies of China," and it was fucking
Was this during
written
World War
about.
II?
It was written in I think 33. Like
Yeah, so it was
I know somebody
right around the time of World War
II.
II during the Japanese occupation. There was two groups in China that were fighting the Japanese occupation. There's the Kuomintang, the nationalist Chinese, and then there was the communist Chinese. Both were fighting the Japanese imperialists. They were at a temporary agreement to be able to work together. But the Kuomintang, which later,
The triads, aren't they?
No, they were the. They later founded Taiwan. They were fascists.
Okay.
They later founded Taiwan.
This book was mostly like the history against the Ming Dynasty and overthrowing the Mings.
Okay, well this was
And
before communists.
it ended at like
Okay.
the communists had just
The
won.
communists had just. Okay,
Hey,
well,
I have some breaking news.
alright.
It looks like the AWPPW Local 153 voted down the latest contract offer from Capstone. So there will not be a strike at this time. So it looks like the new contract that they were given was voted down. So again, they could strike anytime.
Stand strong, workers.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm all for not like if you don't agree to your working conditions, fucking bounce. Like and if they want to hire you back, they should go ahead and come up with a solution because there's no reason to just go out and hire a bunch of fucking scabs.
But you see, I'm
My dad was in the union.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I was a member of the IWW.
My wife's union.
Of the IDEW.
So I'm going to go ahead and call it a wrap for the night, and we're going to go ahead and
Thanks
end
for
a
coming on the
song.
show. I mean, I want to have you on again, by the way.
Yeah, definitely.
We're always looking,
Yeah.
and we can actually put more people at this table, if they want to come on. All you have to do is get a hold of Curtis and I if you want to be a guest on the show.
That's right.
Just message us on Facebook, and,
Yeah.
we can get on here. And our big thing is educating the public,
Mm-hmm.
and that includes on things that we might not necessarily agree with, like communism.
Definitely.
But anyway,
Yeah.
Well, and if
You
you ever want to have like an
communist.
ask a communist, segment.
ask a communist.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, the Stalin genocides and all that. If you look at the population tables, from
Bill
that
Josh
time,
saying he'd come on the show.
Stalin would have had to have repopulated personally more people than he ever killed. in order for that to have ever occurred, because there is a 20 million gap where that 20 million people were killed by the fucking Nazis during the war, because of fucking all of Europe was losing people. It was ridiculous.
And then, did prison camps exist?
There was re-education centers. There were
Re-education centers.
Yes. Okay. All right.
I will do this. I watched this.
Okay.
Hey, you guys, listen. I saw Survivor speak. She had me in tears within the first 3 minutes. I mean, it happened.
Just check it out though. When the Bolsheviks first came in, the country was completely divided. There was a civil war all the way up to 1923. They had to fight. They had to fight multiple factions, whether loyalists to the Tsar, or whether it was ones that supported the Kerensky government, or ones that were by that time supporting the growing fascism in Germany. And so not everybody was going to just say, "Yay, we're gonna get along and build a society." They wanted to tear everything down, and that's what happened. That's what caused some of the first famines in 1922, was because everything was fucking destroyed after World War II. After World War I, and then after the Civil War, all of the facilities for production were destroyed. The fields were ravaged. Much of the peasantry were slaughtered. They had to rebuild from scratch. They needed to. They needed a society that would work together. So the people that worked together, great. The people that didn't, they set up villages, entire villages in Siberia.
Prison camps.
Villages. There was. Okay. You say prison camp, I say village.
Be realistic here.
So the fact of the matter is, they weren't. They had. No.
Okay.
Why should we
go
allow
in America when we're not allowed to leave a place?
Okay. They had everything a lot more than was just in prison. They weren't sitting in cells. They were actually living in a community, working, producing things, but also getting everything they needed for life and survival.
But they weren't allowed to leave. The slave
They were.
No, they received benefits of their work.
But you couldn't leave the never-ending frozen.
No, because they were trying to destroy society. So yeah, no, they couldn't. It was necessary.
It wasn't necessary to have a bunch of people up in the fucking frozen wasteland of Siberia, freezing and fucking dying.
It's not just a.
Didn't we agree earlier that nobody should die in jail?
And
yeah!
They weren't sending them there to die. They weren't.
You weren't sending. Do you know what it's like in Siberia?
I hear it's cold.
Weather conditions is like.
I hear it's cold.
Why didn't they send them down here like fucking wherever as far south as they can get, so it's not freezing? If they didn't send
down there, because down there was like arable land that needed
because they sent them
cultivation.
To fucking die.
No, because that was.
Did I mention that the Communist Party was really good at propaganda?
Yeah, I was going to say, so was fucking America, because I watched this thing, it was called The Day in the Life of a Dictator Today. It was on YouTube. And, like, it was just hardcore propaganda. Like, I believed most of it, so it was obviously effective. But, like, they actually had, like, actors that they superimposed the fucking dictator's faces on, so it was like, it was straight up them doing shit. Which made me think, like, oh, that's just excellent news for fucking video evidence. Like, they just straight up, like, they had an actor. They even explained it a lot. Like, they were really proud of themselves for being able to do this. Like, explained it, I think, 3 times at least. That they had actors, and then they acted the parts out, and then they were able to superimpose the face from like old footage and make it look like it was straight like that dude. Which is disturbing. So. I'm going to go ahead and end the show with that.
Thanks for coming on, man. We'll have you on again.
Right.
We might have to have... So you know what we might do? Is we might have to have you on again and the Socialists at the same time and give you guys some boxing gloves or something.
There you go.
That'd be cool. We could let those guys duke it out.
Yeah.
We just take pot shots.
Yeah. So this song's called
thanks for listening, everybody.
By Bliss and Esso. This is Radioactive Rock, and this has been Because Liberty with Curtis Hart. We'll be back on again next week at 1.